Hi everyone, welcome to the Web3 Accounting Radio, the podcast where we dive into the fascinating world of the Web3 finance and compliance. I'm today's host Diana, and my partner is Xiang. Let's welcome Xiang. Hi
Hi,
Xiang.
hi, Diana. Today we are very lucky to have Atikh on the show. I've tried the actual software myself, and I'm very happy with the user interface and how it actually works.
Thank you so much.
Okay, as someone new to the Web3 space, I'm excited to learn with you and share insight with the industry experts. And today our special guest is called Atikh. Atikh is a co-founder of Acctual, a Web3 payment and invoicing SaaS. From his days as Stripe, Datadog, and Store, he has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of designing in complex product space. But nothing quite like the chaos of managing digital assets is what compelled him and his co-founders to build Acctual. He is excited about Web3 FinOps and the untapped potential of digital assets to change B2B payment globally. It's not just about replacing outdated systems, it's about creating a new standard where near instant settlement and financial inclusion is the norm. And we are all about making this transition easier for business around the world. Acctual has raised $3.85 million in seed funding from big names like Ideal, Third Primer, Some Capital, and angels like Ryan Selkis, founder of Masari. Hi, nice to meet you, Atikh.
Nice to meet you as well, Diana. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, before we hand the mic over to Atik to bring us through invoicing in crypto and what are some of the issues that customers face, in one sentence, if you are watching this and you have issues billing customers, you are sending them many emails, or you have issues with many payments of invoice inside your email, sometimes you overlook them, sometimes you pay to the wrong one, just give a call to Atik itself from Acture, and I think they have a perfect solution for you.
We would be glad to help. Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, so I guess the first question is kind of around just invoicing and some of the things that we're kind of learning
Maybe
in Web3.
maybe we can start off with like what are some of the problems that you're solving currently? Like what are the common issues that I think customer face when they talk about crypto invoicing? Yeah.
Certainly. So, core, I think problems that we see are a lot more on kind of the workflow and process of dealing with both invoicing and bill pay, particularly with digital assets and fiat. So, most finance teams are used to very particular kind of workflows when it comes to sort of paying a bill or being able to send an invoice. And so that looks everything like, being able to have the bill that you pay be synced in with your accounting system. And so that gets recognized just as any other bill would if it was like a fiat bill, and having the journal entries kind of laid out there correctly. The second is then being able to sort of have all of the crypto context kind of be one-to-one with a lot of the information that's in the ERP system. So every time you make a payment to someone, that's actually a vendor, and that vendor should be associated to a vendor in that accounting system. And that wallet address that you pay should also be attached to that vendor as well. And so just making sure there's a lot of kind of connectivity between what the main source of truth, which is the general ledger, has, and what your AP system has as well. Second to that is the workflow process itself. Invoices are how people, request payment. And so being able to sort of send someone an invoice using the process that you have, you aren't always going to have the luxury of people using the tools that you want for them to send you an invoice. And so sometimes they come through in the form of an email. Sometimes people will text them to you. Sometimes people will, maybe not even include an invoice and say, hey, you owe me $20,000. Here's my wallet address. And so just having a process where you can kind of streamline the intake of all of that is another big part of that workflow, which we help teams with as well. And I think the last part is then the process of paying the bills themselves. So there's approval workflows, right? I mean, sometimes you get a bill, and if it's a certain threshold, or if it's a particular vendor, or if it's a particular like kind of category of spend, there should be like kind of workflows in place, based on that type of activity. So if it's over $20,000, maybe it requires that the CFO look at the invoice, or that, if it's a marketing invoice, that maybe the director of marketing looks at it. And so we build in a lot of those internal controls so that teams can have that sort of expected experience around sort of the bill pay workflow that they had once before with fiat. And I think that's going to be really, really critical, especially if we're ever going to have this type of money movement happen in the traditional kind of AP workflow for businesses, non-crypto as well. Now, on the flip side of that is the invoicing workflow. Again, a lot of the same things. Customers being attached to the ones that you have in the ERP system, being able to sort of build out this experience where you can kind of just click a button, it sends them an email, they can pay via payment link, and every time they make a payment, they get a receipt that shows that payment that has been completed. All of that being automated alongside the reminders. Over 60% of invoices that get sent require at least one reminder to get paid. And so just kind of building alongside these just traditional heuristics of how invoicing and receivables kind of work, but then being able to bring the digital assets into that workflow is really the biggest part of the work that we solve. And that's kind of more of the process and workflow. And what we're also seeing now is more around sort of the flexibility and the preferences that people have as it relates to getting paid. Sometimes you get a vendor that says, hey, I want to be paid in my local currency. Maybe it's Turkish lira, maybe it's Nigerian naira. So then being able to sort of say, well, if I'm a business that has primary treasury in sort of USDC or USDT, maybe just US dollar, being able to sort of allow people to have that preference of paying how they want while their vendors can receive how they want. And on the flip side of the invoicing, you have the same exact problem where maybe you as a business want to get paid maybe in stable coins, but your clients might not be well versed in crypto. So maybe being able to give them the option to sort of pay in USD or euro or something like that. Whereas me as the business owner, maybe if I'm in a place where I prefer to receive stable coins, which we're starting to see globally quite a bit, being able to just provide that flexibility where at either side of a transaction, the parties get and spend how they want. So I guess that's kind of the long way of.
I think that's very very cool to hear, and I think myself, I mean the finance portion, I think there's one portion that is a system like that would be very helpful to me that I didn't hear you mention is, you see, the person who decide the payment might actually be a CEO or the founder itself, but as an accountant itself, after he pays and then the whole bill comes to me automatically and with the numbers inside, that might be a lot easier than, let's say, if we don't choose a software and it will be the CEO at the end of the month maybe handing me, I mean, using a very traditional way, a whole stack of invoice and say, hey, I paid all this, can you please just put it into the system? So that is where I think in terms of accounting and recording, that is something that I think is part of the workflow that is very helpful to staff also for the people doing it. So I mean, just now you mentioned something about like paying in a certain currency or getting another. Just curious, like do you have compliance issues? Do you need to apply for licenses, or how or is it like no, because you're a software, it doesn't affect you?
That's a great question. So we're really the sort of software experience that sort of creates a lot of interoperability between both the sort of AP and AR process and the kind of fiat and crypto movement. And the way that we kind of work is that we actually don't kind of sit in that money movement as much as we kind of work through that process. We actually partner with a lot of different providers that have the licenses, the MTLs, and a lot of the compliance in place to make sure that all of that can happen, in a clean way. Second to that, I mean, we do take our safeguards, right? So any transaction that comes out of our system, any wallet that's connected, is screened against kind of chain analysis data to just ensure that money is being sent out or paid to wallets that are not on lists that we don't want to send money to.
I see. Nice. Yes. So I think you have done the relevant safeguards, and the license providers will be doing their relevant KYC's check. So the other one is within the invoicing space itself. Where are you seeing a lot more activities recently? Like is it the gaming centers? Is it the market makers, or is it service providers? Or like can you share some color?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely the service providers. We're seeing, quite a range of the types of service providers. I mean, everything from traditional kind of dev design agencies to content writers, marketing, advertising, all the way through to some kind of like logistics businesses that are kind of using the product for different things, real estate companies. What's really neat is that we've seen kind of invoices and users from across 128 countries, which really kind of talks to sort of the need of just being able to utilize the digital assets and kind of an invoicing workflow. But I'd say that, yeah, the spectrum, it seems to kind of extend beyond kind of just paying crypto companies, but now it's actually companies that are just, when you look at kind of where money is coming from and where it's going, you can clearly see that it's solving the cross-border problem more than it is, I'm a crypto company and I only like pay in crypto, which is kind of what we've been used to at some level, I'd say.
Yes, because I think the thing that you actually solve is, maybe the recipient wants it in a certain token in a certain chain, but as a person paying it, I might have a stable coin in another chain, and but by using such a system, we would have a flow through and not let such differences becomes the payment problem. And I mean, as service providers, we have done so much to get a service, and getting the payment sort out is pretty quick. So I mean, in terms of onboarding, setting up the system, how is the process? How is the process like the first one might be, I think, maybe an onboarding call, and after that, set up maybe internal controls, like what kind of control flow. So I mean, maybe can you walk us through this, like how the period that you would take, or like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, getting set up on Actual actually just takes a few minutes. Usually when we kind of are working with more of a, native kind of Web3 protocol, finance teams, that we try to do a little bit more of a discovery to try to understand their pain points and just better make sure that we can optimize that onboarding. But generally, I mean, the way it works is that you sign in to the platform, connect your accounting system, and you're ready to kind of use the full-fledged solution from, sending out an invoice to making a bill payment, and using kind of your multi-sig wallet, or now soon custodian wallets like Fireblocks, to make those payments in our system.
Oh, so oh, I didn't know that you guys are connected to custodians. That's why I thought it was just a normal wallet. Thanks for sharing that. Is there like a lot of new integrations coming along?
Exactly. Yeah. So we're
Okay.
starting to see more and more demand from different kind of companies where custodians are typically what's now being used to sort of make those payments, for better kind of safeguards in their internal controls. And so we want to meet them where they're at and be able to provide that experience to kind of unify the AP alongside the custodian, and not just limit it to self-custody options.
I see. Thanks. So maybe just one last question from me. So like I understand like you guys are inside the crypto space, but have you been seeing some interest from people who are doing fiat ARAP, that is using you guys as payments, and or is that currently not a kind of business segment that you are focusing on?
For sure. Yeah. So certainly, I mean, I'll give you two examples, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so one is you have these service providers who maybe are law firms or accounting firms, or different types of service providers who maybe work with traditional companies, non-Web3, and then also work with Web3 companies. But when they actually go out and collect revenue from their customers, they actually prefer to receive that money into their bank account. And so one of the ways that we help is that, they might have clients, because they're working with Web3, that want to pay in stablecoins. So we actually do is kind of set up these auto withdrawal addresses. So where on their invoices, they actually put a wallet address that we've associated with their bank account. And so their client gets that benefit of being able to pay in stable coins. And so then as their customer, being able to offer that flexibility to their customer. But on the other side, they're actually going to receive that payment directly into their bank account, through the partners that we work with to be able to automatically off-ramp those funds. And then second to that, we are starting to see more of these kind of cross-border use cases where you've got someone that maybe wants to pay out in one local currency, but maybe the recipient wants to receive like US dollar. And so we kind of work with a number of partners there to kind of enable in that bill payment, the ability to kind of go from fiat to fiat, but being able to utilize crypto rails, as opposed to sort of traditional fiat like Swift network, which obviously kind of has a lot of delays, liquidity issues, high costs, that we're able to sort of help save and optimize around.
Yeah, I mean the last sentence alone, I think you bring inside all the wonders of blockchain. We are talking about faster payment, cheaper payments, how we can actually go from a certain currency through the network, and then maybe stable coins, maybe Uniswap, maybe changing of stable coins, and then go back into the currency of the other Web2 world without the customers even knowing that, oh, it has gone through the blockchain world. But well, compared to the previous method, I have done it quickly, and I have done it in a way faster way, because the whole chain where I have just mentioned it to you, we can do it in, say, 2 minutes maybe. But let's say if we use the Swift system and we do the exact same thing, maybe we wait for tomorrow before we can see it inside being reflected in the bank account, and then the whole charge bank charges and whatnot also cost a lot more. Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
and some kind of black box. Like you don't even know what it's going to be by the time the money hits the account, like how much fees are going to take.
Yeah, and I think just now when I mentioned to you about how we go from wallet to the Uniswap maybe to change, I'm talking about something that is very manual process, but I think that is where Actual takes care of everything, including the graphic user interface. Where from a user perspective, you just need to send out the invoice and the other party will pay, and then you will receive it within the set amount of time, and that is where you would help with a lot because I think for many, let's say traditional banking, the maybe the system is still very chunky and very because internet banking might not be something that they focus a lot of investments money on. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. And so really, I mean, the key here is just to streamline a lot of that and be able to simplify and just being able to have more of that unified story where everything's kind of just tied together from payment to invoice to customer experience, all just
Yeah.
being
So
a lot
I mean,
easier.
just now you mentioned if I'm receiving if I'm receiving a payment, like usually what kind of time frame do you tell your because if I give the invoice, the other party will send me a message I have paid. So usually how fast would that be reflected in the system? I mean, is it like are we talking about 24 hours? Are we talking about 2 hours or like how?
Yeah, when invoices get sent out on our platform, the moment they're paid, I mean, obviously they're sent out instantly, and then the users get notified instantly as well. And so the moment you kind of connect your wallet, make a payment, you get that email receipt right away, and then me as the business that was invoicing, will get notified that the payment was made, and we automatically sync that invoice and the invoice payments, the journal as
No,
well.
but the all the off-ramp, on-ramp activities that happen behind the back happens almost instantly. So we're talking about within
Yeah.
two hours.
Yeah, sorry, no, so it depends. I mean, it can take as
Ah,
long as 1 day, so 24 hours, but sometimes it can happen depending on the time
or
of
depend
payment.
and also depends on how many reels I'm using.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you, Atik. Yeah.
I think the way around the invoicing in future and receiving payment in crypto is very magical. So, may I know the inspiration what you that you have to do these things? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So we like to think of ourselves as just like, how do we just build the kind of user experience that is not just helping people like, use crypto, but actually kind of be paid how they want and be able to have their vendors sort of send or pay how they want as well. And so ultimately, I think the goal is sort of the flexibility alongside the process that we build around. And so really, I think it stems from understanding, take the Nigerian kind of content creator that we work with, right, who has clients in Canada and the US and in the UK. um, he actually runs a firm where he prefers to receive stablecoins because he then uses those stablecoins to pay out his contractors. But right now, his workflow is being paid on PayPal and having PayPal go to his friend's account in the UK, and then his friend converting that money into Nigerian Naira, and then sending him Nigerian Naira, and then him taking that Nigerian Naira and buying stablecoins. Whereas now we can create a virtual bank account that's tied to a wallet address that he gives us. And now his clients can pay just like they normally would through fiat. But now he gets a stable coin because that's what he wants. And then his vendor continues to pay how they want. But then he gets the flexibility of getting paid a lot faster because that other flow took almost 2 weeks. And then now he also gets to control the FX on his money as well, because obviously when he has the USDT, he can determine what his rate to US dollars and Naira become. And then it becomes really easy for him to pay his vendors. So ultimately, like the inspiration was just hearing stories like his, where this is what I want, this is what my vendor wants. How can we meet both each other where we want to be? And that's ultimately kind of what we wanted to help them solve.
Interesting, I think, because I think this will help a lot of firms to transfer the fiat to the crypto. And actually, I think this question may be belonging to our free talk session actually. So I think it's so whether it's convenient to go to the free talk segment, and maybe in this segment, and I will ask some question about your experience before. So yeah.
Certainly, it sounds good.
Yeah. So the first question is, why did you decided to enter the Web3 space? Because I think your form create a very interesting way to transfer the currency to the crypto. And so I would like what inspired you to enter the Web3 space at the first?
Certainly, yeah. So my time in Web3 kind of started around circa 2017, 18 at a company called Storage. which was one of the early kind of decentralized storage protocols. And I think honestly, what got me inspired then was just being able to sort of see the use case of crypto kind of go beyond money transfer. And so it was like, wow, like we can actually leverage blockchain and sort of a decentralized system to be able to sort of store data and not have to leverage kind of these really large, Google type providers to be able to do different things like that. But then while I was at storage, I got to sort of learn about a lot of the different intricacies, from being paid in tokens to paying out the different node operators and tokens and different things like that. And so that's kind of where I got just a better understanding of some of the friction that kind of comes with crypto payments as it relates to sort of real world kind of business use case, kind of beyond, trading, which is what I'd done previous to that. And then fast forward to working at Stripe, where I got the great pleasure of meeting Momo, my co-founder, who also introduced me to Isa, our third co-founder. I started to kind of see like financial operations in the Web2 world, and one that I always imagined just being kind of already figured out. Like teams, this was like not a problem that I thought for a while was hard for teams, right? Like, there's already so many solutions that help them figure these things out, but come to find out, it's actually not the case. There's still very much a lot of fragmentation, a lot of time kind of spent on reconciliation, and the financial operations as it relates to just fiat is difficult, and it has a lot of friction. And so I think that's kind of when we had this aha moment of, what's been so great about seeing companies like Stripe and others is how they can take something that's so complex, and build great kind of delight and craftful experiences for teams that maybe didn't seem like mattered at some level, but actually has a really big effect. And we just thought, if we could bring that same mentality to building for financial operations in Web3, do we start to unlock an opportunity by helping, build products for finance people to ultimately help them onboard into Web3? And so that's kind of what was the ultimate like inspiration. What does it look like to be a greatly designed product that helps teams, from the finance perspective, be able to adopt crypto, and ultimately be able to influence the sort of 100+ trillions of dollars that move B2B payments worldwide, and eventually bringing more of that on chain.
Well, Atikh, just to hear, why did you enter the Web3 world and then to where we are today, which we spoke maybe 10 minutes ago? Oh, you made your dream come true, I think.
Appreciate it. I was still a lot to do, but
Is
we're
that-
really excited about kind of the adoption of stablecoins continuing to grow, the acceptance of it around the world, regulatory bodies becoming more open to it. I mean, we're seeing it kind of affect the US election right now too. And then all the great work that teams around the world are doing. I mean, from our competitors to the partners that are helping to make these types of movements from fiat into crypto easier, to the issuers like Circle, who are helping to support teams like us and others make this process more possible too.
Yeah, but I mean, as all this is happening, it's unique to see how there are regulatory issues where initially nobody cares about it, but now there's the interoperability issue where some people are quite concerned about how stablecoins in other areas are being used in their areas, etc. But I'm quite sure maximum maybe 5 to 10 years they will sort it out. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. And ultimately, I think what people want and businesses want more than anything is just confidence and clarity. And I think the more we can get to that, I think the better. And it's starting to see that that pattern emerge a bit more, getting more comfortable.
Yeah, I think it will be very proud to create such a very useful and very uh, uh, meaningful software. And I think that, as Wei Xiang said before, I think this achievement is very meaningful in the life. So, can you share one key experience or lesson that you have learned in the Web3 journey that you think would be very valuable?
100%. For us, one thing that I feel like has been a good lesson is, what's your superpower? What's the thing that you feel like you can uniquely bring to building in the space and leaning in on that? One of the things that we quickly realized was that, like, sales is not something that we were particularly strong at. So obviously we had to build up that muscle and how we can get really good there. But we also really learned that, like, we were strong kind of product people, strong designers, engineers, and trying to lean in on just building really high quality product experiences, as opposed to sort of trying to be the best of everything else. It sort of helped kind of us optimize at some level of building a company, and it being something that we can kind of use as our strength, to sort of build something that is great.
Yes, that's a good lesson, I think. And I think this lesson will have a good help to our listeners. So as maybe as a co-founder of the Actual, and I think Actual is a very useful company in the Web3 area. And so what are you looking forward to in this Web3 finance or compliance area?
Yeah, it's an area that we continue to try to just be kind of up to date on, try to understand what sort of implications exist. One of the things that I think we are excited about, though, is the fact that, from day one, the product that we have is usable by the world. And so as much as like we care about, what, the US or Europe think about, stablecoin regulation, at the end of the day, it's being used. And so it's as much as just kind of understanding how that can continue to affect us, but also just continuing to focus on, the areas where we aren't seeing any friction, and helping to serve those people as well.
Yeah, I think the story that, I mean, I was silent for a little bit, but the one where you shared, like, for people to find out what they are strong at, because let's say for a three-man founding team, especially when you have friends in the same area, like you mentioned, your product people and then the sales portion. So I mean, similarly for Web3 accountant, we are a very young brand, and we do have to look into, and I mean, for every other listeners out there, I've met with many founders itself, where is your strength, and be happy, to work on the areas where you need to work on. And I think that is very thankful for Atikh for sharing this part of it. Yes. And I think for the other issues with stablecoins, we are very thankful for USDC at least. I mean, USDT has not been so compliant, but at least we have Circle itself, always I know in Singapore, in Mika, in and even in the US itself, they have licenses, and then in Hong Kong itself. So I think even Dubai. So I think at least we have an option available outside for us to use as a one payment rail. Yeah.
100%, 100%. Yeah. And that's going to be the great thing moving forward too, is just all the great work that, a lot of these companies that once were kind of in their infancy are now like really grown up in a lot of ways, right? I mean, you've got public companies like Coinbase and, MicroStrategy, and obviously Circles basically there as well. And they're doing a great work on just kind of the policy side, and getting the licenses globally. The Mika announcement a couple of weeks ago was really great to hear, and seeing that the products expand, right, and into sort of Euro stablecoins as well. And so I think there's going to just be a natural tailwind when you have the issuers and the bigger companies helping to propel that work forward.
Okay. So I think today you share a lot of things that are very useful, and I think that will help our listeners to enter the Web3. And so thank you so much again. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Web3 Accountant Radio. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and leave a review. And at the last, I would like to know that whether you have some words or some idea to share at our podcast. Yeah. Yeah, Wei Xiang and Atikh.
For me, it's just Atikh, don't drop off after the thing. I just want to speak to you for a while. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sorry, any last words
Yeah.
for the
you, from you, yes, for the.
Oh yeah. Well, no, thanks so much if you've gotten this far to listening about Actual, and thank you both again for having me on. And if anyone wants to chat about bill payments or invoicing in crypto, or just have ideas, or like to give feedback on these types of things, please reach out. I'm just Atikh at actual with 2Cs.com. I'm also on LinkedIn and Twitter. You can find us on there as well. And yeah, thanks again.
Okay. Thank you, Atikh. Yeah. Okay.